It might sound counterintuitive, but it's possible for your brain to be totally stressed out without you realizing it. In this episode, I'll share 5 common signs of stress you might not know, and why knowing your unique stress response can save you energy and a little bit of sanity. Okay, let's dive in. While I'm recording this episode, it's still the middle of winter here in Calgary. We actually had a pretty warm February, and lots of folks, myself included, were thinking we were getting an early spring, and that the worst of winter, including that deep freeze over the holidays where we were one of the coldest places on the planet, was over. You think after almost 40 years on this planet, I would have learned to expect what we call second winter here in Canada. Like second breakfast if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, but less fun. Where the snow melts, the sun comes out, the birds are chirping, and then it snows a foot. Not surprising, I woke up with the rest of the city one morning recently to half a foot of snow. The temperature had dropped 20 degrees, and it was darn nasty outside. So I'm driving Allison to daycare on my way to work, and traffic is a mess. Like I said, it snowed a bunch, then it froze, and the roads were slick. Plus, we'd all gotten used to driving with no so, forgetting about second winter, right? And things were jammed up on the roads. Everyone's moving slowly, traffic is backed up, and then, for some strange reason, one of those double buses, the accordion ones that are super long and bend in the middle, it stopped right on the other side of the exit from my community. There's no bus stop there, but after about 5 minutes, someone did get off the bus and the bus moved. But for those 5 minutes, we all sat there because no one could get past, and traffic is building and building. I'm not a huge fan of traffic. I work from home whenever I can, and I have, on a good day, about a 10-minute commute to my office. I'm not super patient when it comes to traffic. It's something I'm working on, trying to remind myself that I'm not really in a rush and I can enjoy my coffee and chuckle at the morning DJs on the radio, which sometimes works to calm me down, but not this morning. I was grumbling under my breath, and I could feel my hands tightening on the wheel, my shoulders creeping up to my ears, and my jaw was tightening. If you've ever been stuck in traffic, you probably have some idea of how irritated and tense I was starting to get. I believe stress is a misunderstood word. For one, we tend to think of stress as a bad thing that's caused by bad situations, like getting stuck in traffic, being late for work, or missing a deadline. And those situations are definitely stressful. But stress isn't actually always bad. A little bit of stress can be motivating, and we need a bit of stress to get out of procrastination mode sometimes. Remember back in university when you had all semester to finish that project, but you had no motivation until the night before? Yeah, we've all been there. Because there was no stress to finish that project until the deadline got closer, right? Check out episode 62 to learn more about why a bit of stress is actually a good thing. Plus, good things that happen in our lives cause stress too. Our brains react the same way to negative events like losing our job as they do to positive events like getting a promotion. The same neurotransmitters are released, your body responds the same way, like your heart starts beating faster, your muscles tense, even your vision changes. It's how our minds interpret these reactions that matter. We interpret that stress response from losing a job very differently than we do when we get a promotion, right? Roller coasters are another great example. If you are terrified of roller coasters and you stand in front of one, your heart starts beating, you're breathing faster, your stomach flip flops, your knees weak, palms sweaty, mom spaghetti, right? But if you love roller coasters and you stand in line, you feel the same thing. Your heart starts racing, your breathing changes, your stomach flip flops. But we really feel different, right? Because your brain reacts the same way to positive and negative stress. It's how we interpret that reaction that matters. So, part of the reason I think stress is misunderstood is that we always think of stress as bad, from bad events or something that gets in our way. But that's not true. A bit of stress can help us, and we can also feel stressed when good things happen. That's totally normal. Another way stress is often misunderstood is we look out for certain signs of stress, but don't realize that stress shows up differently for all of us. Often, when we think of stress or anxiety, we think of worry, right? All those stresses on your brain. You know you're stressed when you can't get your mind off that thing, right? You can't stop thinking about it. Maybe you're stressed about a deadline at work and you can't stop thinking about that. Or you're worrying at home, on your drive home, in the shower, when you're supposed to be sleeping. It's always on your brain, right? We believe stress should feel a certain way. If my mind isn't stressed out about something, then I'm not stressed, right? Not necessarily. Stress doesn't always show up as racing thoughts or not being able to shut your brain off when you go to bed. Here are 5 pretty common signs of stress that you might not know. Sign number 1, tension. That story of me stuck in the traffic jam on the snowy morning with the bus blocking the road, I was pretty tense. I was gripping that steering wheel tight, my jaw was clenching, my shoulders were starting to creep up to my ears. Those are all physical signs that my brain and my body are under stress. Ever been sitting in a meeting? It seems like things are going okay, but maybe the meeting is about a project that everyone's feeling a bit of pressure about, and there are a lot of tough decisions to make. You feel okay in the moment, you get back to your office chair, you take a deep breath and feel your shoulders drop 4 inches. Or you realize you could crack a walnut between your teeth because they're clenched so hard. Totally. We've all been there. Tension is a super common sign of stress, pressure, or feeling overwhelmed. Our brains notice something's off, and even if we're not aware in the moment, our bodies start to react. Totally normal. It's your brain and body trying to keep you safe. Our muscles tense when we're under stress or pressure to help us run away if we need to. We probably don't need to run out of that meeting, but this is thousands of years of evolution at work. Your brain is helping you get ready to run. And it's pretty common not to notice that you're tense until after you get out of that situation, right? Traffic lets up and I let out a deep breath and my body relaxes. You get out of that tough meeting and your body feels exhausted because it's been so tense the whole time. Muscle tension anywhere in your body could be a sign of stress. Stress sign number 2, headaches. Headaches can also be a sign of stress. Some of this is related to muscle tension we talked about already. Makes sense, right? If my muscles and my shoulders and neck get tense, that tension can give me a headache. But we don't have to be tense to get a stress-related headache. Most of us can think of a time we had a stress headache, right? Often on those days when everything seems to go wrong. You get a flat tire on the way to work, you're late for school drop-off, you can't find a parking spot at work, spill your coffee on your shirt as you walk into the office, and you're reaching for the Advil before you even sit down, right? Pain in any part of your body, including headaches, can be related to stress. Sometimes that pain is like a warning sign from your brain. Your brain is saying, hello, pay attention, there's something that's off here. And we're not doing a great job of paying attention to our bodies. So pain is like a signal from your brain that you need to take a break. Because when we're in pain, we tend to rest, right? It can be our brain's way of getting us to take a break. Other times, pain shows up because your brain is spending a bunch of mental resources dealing with stress. So it has less resources to manage pain. We interpret pain differently depending on our mood, right? Ever stub your toe playing a game with your kids? It hurts, but it hurts a whole lot more if you stub your toe after you come out of a terrible meeting with your boss, right? Stress and our mood can impact how we manage pain, and pain can even be a physical sign of stress. Stress sign number 3, memory errors. If you've lost your phone for the 10th time this week, that might just be a sign your brain is under stress. Managing stress, even good stresses like a new job or a promotion, takes up a ton of brain power, which means there's less brain resources left over for remembering to turn the dishwasher on or keeping track of the 10 things you need to get at the grocery store. Memory mistakes, trouble focusing, and even speech errors can be a sign of stress. Stumbling over my words is one of my first signs that I'm taking on way too much. Allison thinks it's hilarious when I say that I need to drop her off at work instead of at school, but that's way more likely to happen when I've got a million things running in my brain and I'm feeling burnt out. If you're starting to worry your mind is slipping and maybe you're going to need a GPS tracker pretty soon, before you start looking at assisted living, take a look at what's going on in your life. Do you have a million things on your plate? Is there anything that might be stressing you out or making your brain work extra hard right now? That stress and pressure could be the reason you left your keys in the fridge today. Stress sign number 4, dizziness. I worked for a few years as part of a clinic specifically for treatment of dizziness, where about half of the folks who came through the doors had dizziness that was associated with stress. It's actually super common. Getting dizzy every once in a while is normal. You turn around or you stand up suddenly and you feel a bit off. Or maybe you're like me and you struggle with motion sickness, so even watching a movie can make you feel dizzy. Remember, our brains only have so many resources. When we're under a lot of stress and pressure, there aren't a lot of resources left over for managing that normal, occasional dizzy feeling. So instead of feeling dizzy when you bend over and your brain quickly adjusts and you move on, when we're under stress, it's harder to make that adjustment. So the dizziness lasts longer and feels worse, which unfortunately sends our brains into protection mode. Your brain says, yikes, that felt terrible. I don't want to be dizzy and fall. Let's put a bunch of energy towards my balance and make sure I don't feel dizzy again. Unfortunately, we know when we pay too much attention to these normal events like occasional dizziness or leaving your keys in the fridge once, it makes us more likely to make the same mistake again. So that stress-related dizziness can get worse just because we get stressed out about being dizzy. Sounds a bit unfair, right? The good news is when we know these might be signs of stress, we can take action to reduce that stress in our lives and improve our physical health. Stress sign number 5, stomach problems. Stomach cramps, nausea, even vomiting and diarrhea can all be caused by stress. Public speaking is a great example. Ever get up to give a presentation and your stomach starts clenching? You feel like you're going to be sick? Super normal. Stomach symptoms are a normal reaction your body has to stress. Again, it's your brain's way of telling you, hello, pay attention, I'm super stressed, right? But just like the other signs we talked about today, often we misattribute stomach problems to something else. We think we ate something bad, or we're getting sick, or we think there's some physical cause, and we ignore what might be causing our stress or pressure on our minds. Knowing that it's possible for our bodies to experience stress physically rather than emotionally is key. Some of us are just more prone to feeling stress in these ways, more prone to feeling stress as tension or headaches or stomach problems. We don't have the signs we think of like racing thoughts or sleep problems, so it can be hard to recognize that our brains might be trying to get our attention, trying to let us know that we've taken on way too much, or that we might need to look at some of the places in our lives that are getting overwhelming for our brains and for our bodies. But once we know how we experience stress, we can start taking actions to get our brains back on track and keep moving towards our goals. Have you taken my stress personality quiz yet? Like you learned today, we all react to stress and pressure differently. Knowing your stress personality can help you recognize your own signs of stress and help you pick the stress-busting strategies that'll work best for you. Heck, knowing how you react to stress and pressure can even help you get more done in the day because you'll be able to plan productivity skills that match your style. You can take the quiz at drnicolebyers.com/quiz. That's drnicolebyers.com/quiz. Okay, let's do a quick recap of what you've learned today. Stress gets a bad rep. It's often misunderstood. Not all stress is bad, and even good things like a promotion or a positive change in your life can cause stress. Stress doesn't always feel like what we think it should feel like. And you learned 5 common physical ways stress can show up, even without you noticing that you're stressed out. Being aware of your body's unique stress response can help you avoid burnout and save you time, energy, and focus for the things that are most important to you. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Nicole Byers, and this is the Bold Life Podcast.